Grinding Gear Games have taken action and banned 20 players until the end of the league for abusing an exploit that allowed for insane loot to be generated from an unintended ultimatum interaction. I will tell you all about it in today's video. Hi and welcome everyone to a new video. Today I want to talk about this exploit that existed in Ultimatum, which 20 players got banned for after abusing it to generate insane amounts of experience and loot returns. The exploit has already been fixed and can no longer be used, so I think it's fine to talk about this. Not every one of my viewers reads Reddit, so you might have missed this, and I think it's rather interesting, so I wanted to make a quick video about it. I don't want to create any drama or influence the perception of certain players involved in this, so I will not mention names because they're not required to understand the main subject of the video. So here's how it worked. There are several types of ultimatums. Some require you to position in stone circles for a certain amount of total time. Others will require you to defend the altar in the middle. The one that was exploitable as long as you were in a party of 2 or more people was the survival ultimatum. Survival ultimatums don't require you to kill monsters, but provide a bar that slowly fills up the longer you survive. While the bar is still filling up, the ultimatum encounter kept spawning monsters which you could kill and which would contribute to the loot explosion in the end of the ultimatum. Now, because of some weird way this was coded, as long as you were at least 2 players in a party, one person could remain in the circle while the other one would continuously leave and re-enter the circle, which would result resetting the progress bar for the survival encounter. The survival bar never got full and further monsters kept spawning, granting more experience and adding more drops to the explosion in the end. Theoretically, you could even keep this up infinitely and spawn an infinite amount of monsters and loot, but practically there were limits of course, since you had to stop at some point if you wanted to still pick up the loot afterwards. If you went too far and generated too much loot, you would crash the instance and not be able to re-enter after being kicked to the login screen. Now, to almost everyone seeing this, it became apparent very quickly that this was an obvious oversight and a completely unintended interaction with huge potential for abuse. Abusing exploits for personal gains is a breach of terms of service and a bannable offense in Path of Exile, as it is in pretty much any other online game. But the perception of many players abusing this heavily, and even advertising it in posts and videos, was that since it was an unintended interaction that was missed before release, and introduced by GGG themselves, and you could even do this without intent or even noticing it, it was not going to lead to bans to take advantage of it before it is fixed. One particular content creator even advertised to exploit it as long as it's possible and assured his viewers that they would never get banned for abusing this. He has since unlisted the video and eventually deleted it, which is also the reason I wanted to make a video so you guys can still learn about this. Anyway, shortly after the discovery, GGG became aware of it and deployed a hotfix that hard-capped the amount of experience and items that ultimatum encounters could yield. As a consequence, they also banned 20 accounts for the entire remaining duration of the Ultimatum League. On top of that, the characters those accounts made in Ultimatum will not be migrated to Standard League. An extensive effort has been made by GGG to track the currency generated by the exploit, which has since been traded onto other players' characters, as organized groups often have a dedicated trader who takes care of all economy transactions. Furthermore, in addition to the hotfix removing the possibility of exploiting this, there will be a proper fix to the ultimatum content, and if it's not deployed yet, it will likely arrive sometime during today. Probably will already be in place when you watch this video. This whole thing is super unfortunate for the people who got banned for the rest of the league, especially for the people who kind of depend on playing Path of Exile on stream for their income. But while unfortunate, I also think this is a good thing to happen, because it draws a clear line and shows the community that no one is safe from being banned for exploiting, just because they advertise the game by creating content for it. As far as I know, Grinding Gear Games don't ban IP addresses or persons, but just the accounts in question. So the banned players will undoubtedly be able to still play on separate accounts and also continue to make content, just not using their main PoE account. I think it's important that Grinding Gear Games maintain a strong stance on exploiting bugs and unintended interactions like this. It is important that they hold streamers and content creators to the same standards as all users, especially after the backlash for giving certain streamers priority access to the game when the queues to get in took longer than usual on launch day. Grinding Gear Games really wanted to show that when it comes to rules, no matter what kind of player you are, they apply to everyone. I personally cannot believe that there were only 20 accounts that engaged in this behavior to a ban-worthy extent, seeing that the content creators in question have thousands of viewers who likely were incentivized to abuse the exploit themselves just by the insane display of wealth coming from it. But I trust that Grinding Gear Games know where to draw the line between incidental abuse and heavy abuse that warrants banning, and I'm happy that this serves as a warning message to all players. If you uncover an exploit in Path of Exile and abuse it for your benefits, they will ban you. Just a quick note before we end the video, I made this video as a kind of first thoughts on the matter reaction and actually failed to bring up a very important point more clearly. The exploit early, exploit often mantra is central to many PoE players' mindset, and the line between clever use of game mechanics and exploits is very blurry these days. The players that got banned knew they were abusing an exploit, but they were 100% sure that they could not ever get banned for this. While banning for exploits is right, it's also very important that Grinding Gear Games define some very clear rules so that players know what is allowed and what is not acceptable. If you want to hear more in-depth thoughts on this, I recommend Nugiyen's excellent video that I'll link down below in the description. Thank you for watching. Thanks to all the people tuning into my live streams and renewing their subscriptions. Very special thank you to my supporters on Patreon. You know who you are. I'll see you in the next video.